Okay. I'm going to talk about the 279 ninth prime and a Gaussian prime. I'm sorry, 279 Gaussian prime. And as you see here, 279 actually, right here, in this clip that I have from the Quran, it corresponds to the order of revelation of verses in the uninitial surahs in the Quran. And that is actually 114.6, okay, that we discussed last week. Okay? And then I called Milan, and he said that 279 actually refers to this verse 279, verse 279. And then in that one, this is chapter 2, verse 79. Again, I copied and pasted here. It says, therefore, woe to those who write the scripture with their hand and say this is from God, in order to obtain a cheap material gain. Woe to them for what they wrote, and woe to them for what they gained. Can you imagine that? Okay. So now we look at this. 279 actually. 279 Gaussian prime is 3947. The index of prime number 3947 actually is 548. 548's additive prime is 9127. Can you imagine that? So the very last verse in the Quran, which is 114.6, happens to be the 279th revelation in the uninitial surahs. And as you see, 279 takes you back to 9127. Note the last verse, the compiled version of the Quran 114.6 is the 279th verse revealed in the uninitial surahs. Okay. $279 also happens to the frequency of ta plus ha in chapter 20 in the Quran. Okay? So you see how they're interconnected? So when you see this, then you know what God says. Okay? If I go to chapter close it, but I shouldn't have closed it. But anyway, we'll open it again. And okay. If I go to chapter 20, there it is. And it says, we did not reveal this Quran to you to cause hardship. Can you believe that? Okay, that's exactly after Taha, which is the counts is 279. Okay, and he says we did not reveal this Quran to you to cause hardship. Okay, it is only a reminder to the reverent. Okay, so here we go back to the. So, as you see here, on 279, you see that the revelation of Word God, okay, 796, okay, order of revelation of the Word God, in the revelation of the Word God, which contains the Word God. This is the 796 verse that was revealed containing the Word God. Therefore, woe to those who write the scripture with their hand and say this is from God in order to obtain a cheap material gain. Woe to them for what they wrote, and woe to them for what they gained. Okay? That word God happens to be 796. 796 happens to be 2 times 199. Okay? The indices of these. So I describe here 279 is the 796 verse containing the word God that was revealed. The indices of these primes factors, these prime factors, that was okay to begin with, these prime factors are 1, 146, and the last verse in the Quran is 114.6. So it tells you that 279 is actually related to the last verse in the Quran, min al-jinnati wan-nas. I can't imagine this. You cannot imagine this. This cannot be imagined in the wildest imagination of anybody, that the book is composed this way. Okay? Remember, his foreknowledge told us that they are going to have 6,236. But they are wrong. Okay? Exactly what they did. Exactly what they did. And God tells us they are wrong. They wrote something which did not belong to the Quran with their hand, and they claimed that this is from God, while it wasn't. Okay? We got to be so grateful to God for giving us all these signs. As I said, almost every week now. Every week. That actually make us understand the Quran better. Because remember now, you go to a verse in the Quran and you really do not understand it. You do not understand what it's referring to. When you put in this context, within these numbers, okay, these numbers are speaking volumes about the Quran. If you go back and put in the context of these mathematics that we are discussing every week, okay, becomes so clear to us, becomes crystal clear why they are mentioned in those specific places, and why these frequency of these words or frequency of the word God is mentioned in specific places. Okay? So 279 tells us that 114.6, okay, actually it coinciding with 279th verse that was revealed in the uninitiated surahs. Okay? And that's the amazing part. And I just, the only thing is that we have to thank God for this, because the other way, we would be confused when we read the Quran. Quran would not make sense to us. Now it makes sense. Okay? Means everything that came from God contained 9 having 127 verses. Over and over and over in the Quran. So God is telling us there were 6,234 verses that came, authorized by God, came from God. And then they added 2 more. And God says, woe to them for doing that. They wrote it with their own hand. And they claimed that that was from God. Can you imagine this shown to them on the day of judgment? Okay. All I can say is, MashaAllah, la quwwata illa billah. It's all according to God's will, and there is no power except what belongs to God. We have no power, none whatsoever. What God has given us is for a while, and then He takes it away. And we are happy with that. We submit, and we are happy with it, and we are at peace with God. I'm going to stop here and finish our Jummah. Allahul Kabir.